Hello, everyone. This is On the Radar, Minnesota Spokesman-Recorder's featured series highlighting Black creatives. Today, we have Maxie Rockymore, a writer, screenwriter, filmmaker, and playwright. That sound right?
That is right. Damenica.
Alright, how are you
Yes,
today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy. It's Monday. Happy Monday.
Yes.
So I'm happy. I'm excited. It's spring. So I feel like, in my head and how I feel about things like good things are happening. It's a new beginning. And I think, that's how people should look at spring, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, I'm out getting ready to go do that thing.
Right. So tell us about the things that you do.
So I do a lot. I mean, obviously I write screenplays. I write plays. I write poems, but not as much. Um, and then now I've started making movies, right? And so I did my first short film, Fresh Cut. I think that was in 2024. I can't even remember the year. That's how life goes. But it's nice because it made the film circuit and, went to California, went to Greece and to the Muses Film Festival. So it hit a lot of film festivals, but it started at the Twin Cities Black Film Festival here in Minneapolis. So I was so happy about that. And, from there, like it just really shot off. But what I like about it is, that film really touched people when we had the screening in different places.
Mhm.
um, People really liked it, and at the Golden Gate International Film Festival, it won the Audience Choice Award with the highest,
Nice.
because they put it online, so it had the highest views and highest ratings. So I really feel good about that.
Yeah,
So
well, congratulations.
thank you.
Um, let's start at the beginning.
Hmm.
So you said that some of your experiences growing up in South Minneapolis really sparked your love for storytelling.
Hmm.
Can you tell us more about how being from South Minneapolis and just Minnesota in general, um, influences your artistry and your work?
Hmm. Well, I think the interesting thing about growing up in Minneapolis and South Minneapolis is for a lot of African American families or Black families, however you want to say it, theirs is a story of immigration, right? Or not immigration, migration, right? Migrating from the South,
Mm-hmm.
mostly from Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, but for this central region, usually from Mississippi. And so it's really been interesting to meet the different African American families that grew up here who had migrated from Mississippi, and the stories that they told, obviously about the racism that they experienced in Mississippi in the southern states, but then that hope of promise and the desire for a better life for them and for their families. you know those are the stories that I heard, and that were shared with me by my parents and my relatives, my uncles, aunts. It's just wonderful stories. On a Friday night, they come home from work. They're all um, lower black middle class, working class families who were laborers. Who worked in factories. Like my uncle worked at Old Dutch, I think it was, potato chip company. But
Mm-hmm.
then I had another uncle who was a black laborer who did concrete mason and built like the YMCA or YWCA, whatever it is over here on Blaisdell. So just like rich stories of their lives and their struggles and their triumphs, and their sorrows, and it just always made me feel like something, like I had a sense of belonging, like I had a purpose, and it gave me an agency as an artist to tell black stories, right? Just, of course, like every race, we have problems, we have deaths, we have violence, we have crime. But what I don't like and what I try not to do is pathologize the black experience, right? To say that we are unique in crime and all this negative things, right? All those things that are portrayed about us in the media. No, we are wonderful people. We are beautiful people, and we have a past. I always say we have a past that precedes slavery because we have a history from Africa, right? And so, we bring all of that, what we carry with us into our communities, into our families, until the present day. So, that's how I see our community and what I've learned from growing up in South Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Sense of purpose and identity.
Mhm. Was there a one experience that kind of sparked something in your mind that said writing is going to be a central thing in my life?
You know, honestly, there was not, because I do feel like when I'm looking back that it was like just God given. Like,
Mhm.
but some, I still see myself on the back steps over here in South Minneapolis, right around the corner,
Mhm.
sitting on the back steps, like writing stories, writing poems, and just knowing that I was going to be a writer, that I was going to create art. I don't know why, but it was in me. And my relatives also saw me as an artist, and, you know,
Mhm.
everybody saw me as that.
Mhm. Something that really stuck with me during one of our previous interviews for your article
Mm-hmm.
was you saying that you wanted to portray the African American story like holistically,
Mm-hmm.
and you said not always positive, but in a rich way.
Yes.
So, what do you think is missing in like black films now, if anything? Or do you think that people are either all negative or all positive and there's no like richness or holistic um telling of our stories?
Mm-hmm. I think now, in this present day and age, our images and our stories are evolving, right? They are evolving, and so I think now we are getting more of those stories about us that shows our humanity, that shows our vulnerability, that shows our beauty and our sorrow. So I think you do see more of that today.
Mhm.
Um, and so I just think, and that's why I said earlier, like we have to make sure, like, the negative things, right, the sorrows, the hurts, are not pathologized to us, right? Because we're human beings, we go through the same thing,
Yeah.
but we have strength, we have culture, we have stories, we have art, we have love, right?
Mhm.
We have losses, right? That we overcome, right? And that we say and wake up and go, yeah, I can take one more step towards a better day, right? And we want stories in which we are allowed to do that, and that is expressed in stories and plays, and I think that's what you saw with August Wilson, in his I'm thinking of playwriting,
Mhm.
but that's what you saw in his plays, and that's what I loved about them, and I think we need to see more of that in film. I think of some of the films that I like: Malcolm X, Spike Lee's Soldier Story, Do the Right Thing. Some of these stories, while there are problems or tragedies or violence or distractions, I think you can always look at those stories and show that they're showing the whole black person, the whole um, woman or man who is going through whatever struggles that they're
Mhm.
going through. And I think that's what we need to see, right?
Mhm. Can you tell us more about the storyline of Fresh Cut and how you wrote that to show the vulnerabilities of black people?
Hmm. Well, I wrote that story, that screenplay, for a lot of reasons. Because one of the things that I was concerned about in the African American community was the number of young people who were experiencing and struggling with mental illness, and particularly suicide in young black males throughout the country. And like nobody seemed to, be talking about that and be telling that story. And so I was like, I want to write something, but it took me a little time. But I want to write something that encompasses all of that. Like, what what is it like to be young, black, and surveilled in your kind of sacred space?
Mhm.
And what is your, kind of like safe space. If you're a young black male, well, there are a lot of places, but uniquely, the barbershop, right? And so that's why I set that setting for that film in a barbershop
Mm.
at Urban Touch Barbershop down the street.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How long did it take you to write?
How long did it take me to write it? It took, okay, that's actually a wonderful question. It took me about 2 months to write the first draft because it's a short play, so I rewrote it. However, I then decided to do research, right, on what is it like to be young black men in a barbershop. And so I went to Urban Touch and sat in there for a year. I went and got my hair all shaved off and went there regularly, pretty much every 2 weeks. And I, introduced myself to the barber and and the and the owner, Billy. And I asked him if I could, sit there and just kind of watch. And he said, "Yes, you can." And so I did, and I just listened to the stories and the laughter and the joys and the tears and everything of young black men and older men too. For a year, I sat in the barbershop for a year, just writing, trying to get the feeling, trying to get the stories, trying to get the chaos, cadences, trying to get the laughter,
Mm-hmm.
like the culture of barbershop culture, young black male barbershop culture. And I sat there a year and wrote, and then I rewrote the script, right, several times until I had written what I felt I was trying to say.
Yeah. How was the process finding the actors for that?
That was great. I knew some actors, and so you know that that wasn't too tough. I did know some actors, and then the production company, Westbone Production Company, that helped co-produce the film. They Leonard, they also Leonard Searcy. They also had actors and brought a number of actors um, for us to look at.
Hmm. Could you tell us a little bit about the storyline without, telling us too much?
Hmm. So the story is about the day in the life of Buzz. Buzz is the character's name, and he's a young black guy who has just gotten out of juvenile detention,
Mm-hmm.
and and it centers on a day in the life of Buzz working at his stepmother's barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his stepfather's barbershop, but he's grieving the loss of his mother, and his stepfather is also grieving the loss of his mother and wife. So it's about his life and a day in the life of the barbershop. So he goes to work for his stepfather for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. In your experience, what has been the main differences in working for plays and theater versus film?
I don't know. I don't know why filmmaking makes it feel for me as a writer. Um, there seems to be a little more freedom, and I don't even know, what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, as an art for me, and an art form, it seems more free. That there's more places and more nuances to discover in the art when you're making a film.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why, but it just seems that way.
Yeah.
And of course, they both take collaboration, right? You're writing a play or screenplay, but when that final thing is made, I don't know why it seems more freeing. I mean, there's collaboration in both art forms, right? You can't make a play by yourself. I mean, you can write it just like screenplay, but it's nothing until those actors come on stage
Mm-hmm.
um, or on screen and film and make it alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're just words on a page. And so, but something about his filmmaking seems more freeing.
Okay. What excites you most about telling stories through theater and through film?
I think I think it's the art, right? And it's the artists who participate and help create and bring to life what you've written on the page. And so with Fresh Cut, there are a number of, well, first of all, it was a whole great, team, right? But particularly the actors, Kevin West and James Craven and Nate Kay and Sam Bardwell and Bruce Purcell, all of these guys, I mean, like they were just, amazing. Like when you saw the film, I was like, wow, this is something that I birthed, but it's theirs, right? It belongs to them.
Mhm.
And I think, that's what you see when there's great art and people, bring your story to life, your film to life. And the cinematographer, I mean everybody.
Yeah.
Mm.
What advice would you give emerging Black writers or playwrights or screenwriters in Minnesota?
I would tell them like to get involved. I would tell them number one to write and write often, and I would tell them to take whatever extra classes that you can take, like at Film North or the Playwright Center or Mixed Blood Theater, wherever you go, that you want to actually be involved in art. You want to see art. You want to go to plays. You want to see as many movies. You want to try to be on the set, even if you have to volunteer to be on the set. You should be willing to do those things
Mhm.
and just stay involved. But keep writing. You know, write all the time.
Mhm.
I think that's important.
Is there anything that you wish there was more of as a Black woman creative in Minnesota?
That's a good question. Let me think
Hmm.
about that. Um, yeah, obviously, that's the thing with art, right? When you're trying to get it to the masses, everything is expensive, right? And so obviously, I wish that there were more, um, you know, I wish that there were more opportunities, financial opportunities, more financial backing and funding for African American women as filmmakers and as, artists, screenwriters. I wish there were more of that because it can always help. Because when you're trying to make film, when you're trying to make art, at the end of the day, you have to pay people, right? And so um, you can try, do some of those uh, things, the different GoFundMe or whatever pages that people do. But I just wish that there were more funding for African American female artists who want to be filmmakers
Hmm.
in the state. Definitely.
Yeah. Could you tell me about, you told me there's a quote that you kind of live by as an artist from Nina Simone. Can you share the quote with us and tell us a little bit more about what it means to you?
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can remember it in detail. Um, it's I think
I
did
think
she pose it as a question? What is how does she say it? The responsibility or the duty of an artist is to reflect the times. I mean, that's a paraphrase, I think, but might be close. And I believe in that. I've always said, like I've always believed that as an artist, you just can't sit in a corner. I mean, you can obviously as a writer, you can't sit up in a corner and like create stuff, and people do. But
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, whatever you create should reflect the times, right? Should reflect what's going on now in your current culture and in current society that that can give people an idea how to navigate their current living situation or their current society or their current community. You should write something about that, and that's what Nina Simone says. That an artist should reflect the time. So I can't just write some story, you know, as a hermit and I mean, but people do, right? Okay, but even with that, you really want to write something that talks and speaks to people now and reflects the times now. And that's what I'm doing now in my current screenplay that I'm writing now. Like all of the political stuff that's going on right now in our society, and in our country, and here locally, right? I'm always kind of starting out here, in the Twin Cities. What is it to be young? So this is my new piece is about a young black woman, who's a teacher
Mm,
and a school teacher, and like what does that mean for her to try to make it, and
mm,
you know and all the pressures that young women, particularly young black women, have in trying to assert themselves, to explore their identity, and then all the family obligations that they have that might be unique to them, and what does success look like to them, but then what is success, and is that really a thing, right? Or is it okay? I'm just going out on a Friday night, kicking it with my girlfriends.
mm,
Is that not enough for me, right?
right. Is that piece set in Minnesota?
Yes, it's set in Minnesota.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I don't want to ask too many things to spoil it, but
Don't spoil it, but go ahead.
do do you personally have a specific goal that you want people to get out of your work? Like, do you want people to take a, is there a call to action that you want people to take, or is there like a, you want them to just have a moment to not think about other things as an escape?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So, I don't think this is a great debate in the field, right?
Mm,
But I don't know that art necessarily should be propaganda art, where you're trying to get a message out, and your film is like a message or whatever. This is why, this is what I think. But all of those things are true, right?
mm-hmm.
The social injustice, um, the cascades, whatever, whatever,
Potato, potato.
potato. Thank you, however you want to say it. That exists, the poverty that exists in America, the classism, the individualism that exists in America, like all of that stuff happens, right? But I necessarily don't want to go see any work that is just like straight about that. However, if you're a true artist, you can bring that to me in such a way
Mm,
that I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. And all of those things are true, right?
mm-hmm.
But it rests with me in that character. I see myself in that character.
Mm-hmm.
And I am suffering, or I am seeing race, or I'm not seeing it, but I do feel strongly about these different things. That's the role of an artist, to give that to us in a way, um, that we feel all those things just as a human being. Like that is the goal
Mm-hmm.
of creating art.
Are you following black teachers like you said in the barbershop?
I am.
Great.
You're so smart, Miss Damenica. You already know I am.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so before we wrap up, I wanted to do a little activity.
Okay.
And for backstory, when Miss Maxie was in high school, she would write poetry, and she would her classmates would pay her $1 to write love poems to their significant others for them. So wanted to give you a love scenario, and that you can write a love poem based on the scenario, just like 3 lines, and then read it out loud, and we'll hear the poem. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
I might say it first. You just have to record.
First one, we'll just do two.
Okay.
So first one, write a love story to a love poem. Sorry, not a story. A love poem to Minnesota.
Minnesota. You are the place that begins and somehow ends with a beautiful river, and that river is the Mississippi River. You are the place where dreams begin and sometimes hope end. You start at the mouth that as a gentle stream in Ice Santee, Minnesota. And then you flow and you flow into a roaring river that carries the hopes and dreams of the next generation of our Black children to a broad ocean of promise beyond the Gulf of Mexico and Mississippi. How is it then that our children and our parents migrated north to Minnesota to find a dream? And those dreams were there, and they found them, and they lived them, and they passed them on to their children. They became the small lakes of tomorrow. They became the small lakes of education. They became the small lakes of joy. They became the small lakes of hope. And somehow that water did not return to us all that it had promised. That river did not return to all of us all that was promised, because George Floyd and so many others, Philando Castile, Marvin Jones, so many others experienced that violence, that they tried to escape that hatred, that they tried to escape that racism, that they tried to escape at the other end of your beginning, which was the Mississippi River, which was Mississippi. They tried to escape, and they did not get all that was promised to them. So come again, flow again, those dreams, Mississippi. Come again, flow again, those dreams, Mississippi River. Come again, flow again, those dreams, Mississippi River. Minnesota, come again and be that place for those who are the unchartered, those who are the unidentified, those who are the unbartered, those who are the uneducated, those who cry in silent places, in dark places with their children, those who hope to birth a new thing, a new dream. Give that to them. Be that place of dreams for our children.
Great job, beautiful.
Okay.
And you didn't even have to write anything down.
I'm old. I'm an artist.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, baby.
Okay, last one.
Okay, write that down, somebody.
When you listen back, you gotta write it down.
Send it to me. I'll write it down.
Yeah, no, I really love that. Write a poem either to the theater or to a movie theater.
To the theater, and to the theater, the stage, to the movie theater. You are the place where young children go to dream, where they close their eyes and forget that their stomachs were growling with hunger, but where a friend's mother has taken them and promised them popcorn of joy, a moment of peace, a moment of happiness, a moment of what could be. That's what you are to children. That's what you are to mothers. That's what you are to fathers who can't find jobs that gives them and reflects back into them the love that they want to transfer to their children, but the love that also they find in film, on stage, where they can just escape for a minute, imagine themselves greater than the next meal and the bed where they lay their children down for the night, hoping for a better day.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Is there anything that we should be looking out for this year?
Yeah, so hopefully, I was thinking about it last night. I said, well, hopefully I will have written this, but it won't take me so. Well, hopefully I will have a table read or two at maybe the Minnesota Screenwriters Workshop, where I am the president of this screenplay that I'm working on. And so I was thinking last night that I need to give myself a number of months to get a good draft ready, and work to see if I can get a table read for the community of this screenplay that I'm working on, and get it out there. And so, and then next year try to get some money to get it done.
So where can people go to follow your work, figure out when the reading will be, figure out how to donate?
Yes, donate.
Um,
Magic word.
yeah, or
Yeah,
reach you for anything.
yeah. I think the best thing is if people can send me a message on Instagram at Maxie Maxie dot Rockymore Rockymore at Instagram,
On Instagram.
the IG on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Maxie, for being here today.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Listeners, if you are or know a creative who should be featured on the radar, nominate them on our website at msr.media. We'll be back next week with someone just as creative and inspiring.